Right now, I want to go into the 5 surprising things that you may not expect actually attract women, because here's the thing. We all know the obvious shit. We all know the obvious shit like confidence and leadership and being charming or being funny. I mean, we get that. Even to the point of not sucking up to her, we get that shit. I mean, at this point, you should get that shit. 150 plus videos on the channel. But what about the things that attract women that when it happens, you look at them and you're like, oh shit, I didn't quite think that you were into that, girl. Like, shit, you're into threesomes or whatever the case was. So let's not waste any time. First and foremost is other women. That's the truth, ladies, and that's just the truth, folks, man. Think about it. When you walk into a room, when a girl walks into a room, if you're the guy that all the girls are looking at versus the guy that not any of the girls are looking at, it makes a difference. They may claim that the player guy that they're not into or whatever the case is, but the social proof of other women, especially other beautiful girls, it means a lot to women. In fact, on this channel, we speak about all the time about how women are actually inherently attracted to your male nature and how you are attracted to other women. And this ties into their sexuality, but they will never actually tell you. So we're not really going to get too deep in that video because it's a controversial topic. A lot of people tend to get defensive. But this is just something that we all, I mean, maybe this isn't too surprising because, to be honest, for a lot of us, this isn't that surprising. But for a lot of dudes, you may not necessarily understand why this is the case or whatever the case is. And number 2 is tension breaks. Tension breaks, switches of flows when it comes to body language and tonality, from serious to lighthearted or from lighthearted to serious. The unpredictability keeps them on their toes. Now, this is something that, like, I notice a lot when you go on YouTube or whatever, when you look at other dating coaches, when you just look at dating coaches, a lot of times they'll tell dudes, you know, like, push-pull. Charm her and then kind of pull back a little bit. Come forward 2 steps, but move back 1 step. Come forward 2 steps, but move back 1 step, you know. But the only thing is there's not really a connection made to nature. So a lot of times dudes have the mindset of like, man, like when do I know when to pull back? Or when do I know when I'm showing too much interest? Or matter of fact, why do I even have to do that shit? Why? I mean, if I grow up seeing that women want this thing and this positive thing and this positive thing, and I have all these positive things, why the fuck do I now suddenly have to take shit away or be negative in any kind of way? And a lot of times coaches, they don't really explain the shit. They simply say, you know, hey, well, you just don't want the girls to get bored or whatever the case is. But I want to actually tie this shit into nature, because that is a huge part of this channel. The duality, the sun, moon nature of our world, the left brain logical, the creative right brain. That's ultimately what it comes down to. When you look at a magnet, the fundamental law of nature and attraction is positive and negative creates the attraction. You look at a magnet, you look at a battery, you look up how to start a car, whatever the case is, you will see this duality in everything. No matter how much you want, no matter how much you're a nice guy, no matter how much you want it to be so, you cannot combine positive and positive. You need positive and negative. That's ultimately what it is. That's why you can talk to a girl and for example, if I speak to a girl and I tease her or I give her a compliment, there can be a way where for example, maybe I start off the pitch of the compliment really, really low and I end it high. And that creates a duality. For example, I could be like, I know this is really random, but you actually have a really cute butt. Congrats. There, I went low and then I went high and then I went low again. So there's a yin and yang, there's an ebb and flow. I could also do it the opposite, where I go high and then I go low, where I could just go like, you know, this is really random, but you actually have a really cute butt. Congrats. Same thing. It's like imagine your girl hearing that. It's like everything I'm saying, it's almost like you're hanging on my words. You're not sure where I'm going with this. My energy is kind of ebbing in one serious way and then one lighthearted way. And when you can do that with your voice tone, when you can do that shit with your body language, like you're on a date, you kiss her on the cheek, you say, hey, what's that shit over there? She looks, kiss the bitch in the cheek, then you walk away. Then you come back, give her a hug. That type of ebb and flow where you don't necessarily feel schizophrenic, where it just becomes an unconscious thing. That it's just an unconscious, natural part of your being, rather than I feel like I'm being someone that I'm not. Because at the end of the day, women enjoy it, and you got to give them what they enjoy, man. Because if not, it's just a good time. And plus, it also is for you too, man. Because if you sit there all day, staring at the bitch all day, giving her compliments, sending her baby, good morning, every single day, even you're gonna get sick of that shit. Trust me, it may not seem like it for some of us, because you're just like, man, I have everything, I got the job, I got the life, I got everything going in my life, I just need a girlfriend, and then everything will kind of fit complete. But you're gonna see that may not just be the case. And this is just one of those things to consider. This is a huge thing to consider. This is the fundamental law of attraction in nature. That's just reality. That's something that none of the other coaches I've seen mention, and that I think it causes a lot of confusion, because at least when you connect it back to nature, when you understand, like, oh shit, I get it. We live in a sun moon world. Like, you look at a magnet, it's like it all makes sense now. Now it makes sense. It's like attraction is aggression, and it's also affection. When you look at yourself, when you look at like a chick that you want to have sex with, it could be whatever. You have a feeling of affection. On one hand, it's like you like her, you kind of want to kiss her down, you kind of want to be affectionate, but then there's also that lust. There's that lust, and then there's that romance. Women crave that lust, and they crave that romance. They crave that aggression, and they crave that affection. And when you can combine the two, that's when you get to have incredibly powerful fucking effects. Like, for example, one of the most famous lines that I have in terms of dirty talk, this is something I used for years when I was younger, and I never really understood why it was so powerful, but now that I'm older and I understand the yin-yang nature of our universe, it now makes sense to me. Basically, if I was at a point where I was dirty talking with a girl, I would say to her, I would basically tell her what I was gonna do to her. I would tell her how, basically, it's weird. I feel kind of strange right now, because it's like there's this part of me that wants to just be affectionate and just kiss you relentlessly and just tease you relentlessly down your body systematically until you were just like begging me to go on. And I just take that moment and just be affectionate and enjoy your body. And yet there's this other part of me that kind of just wants to throw you against the wall and completely rip you apart relentlessly and just completely ravish your body. That shit right there would make bitches lose their mind, because what I'm basically doing is I'm telling them that I feel this strong sense of wanting to be affectionate and wanting to be aggressive, and they understand that on an emotional level. It's kind of like when you have a cute ass fucking puppy. It's like you want to hug the puppy, but then there's that part of you that wants to squeeze it to death. And it's kind of weird too, because you're like, man, why do I want to squeeze this puppy to death? But it's so cute. It's like you have that affection and that aggression, and that's basically what attraction is. And when you can accept that and not have these moral hangups, then you can have the craziest awesome sex, and then you can also just have the awesomest relationship where you're not there wondering when to pull, when to push, or why it is. Now you kind of get it on the fundamental level, and you just won't be giving yourself a fucking headache, man. This is a big one. This is a huge one. This is probably the most important shit. So let's just move on to number 3. Vulnerability coupled with strength. Again, ties back into the last one. Duality has to be involved, or it's just being a little bitch. It's more powerful when it's less suspected. But if you can show both things, it's endearing almost. Let me put this in a more practical kind of way, since I just got real technical. Badass walks into the room, he shows his badassness in whatever kind of way, or she gets the feel, the vibe that maybe he's a player, or he's a badass, or he's a tough guy, whatever. But then later on, he shows vulnerability. Maybe he starts talking about his mom or something. He starts getting emotional, whatever the case is. She's actually gonna get more attracted in that moment, because a lot of dudes might be like, oh, you just want to be alpha all the time. You don't want to ever act like a little bitch, or you don't want to ever show weakness. And that's not actually your flaw. Attraction is dualistic. The only thing is, it's dualistic. If you're a nice guy, if you're a nice pussy ass guy, and then you just suddenly start crying about some shit, yeah, that doesn't probably look all great. But if you show those two aspects of yourself, now suddenly she gets a full image. She realizes that, oh shit, this is not just player guy, or this is not just nice guy, but this guy is omnipotent. He's an omnipotent God. He represents all the fucking emotions on this planet. He can experience and express, and that shit makes me feel open and vulnerable as well, because that's what's gonna get them to show those two sides of themselves as well, when you are able to do it yourself, man. Which pulls me into the next step. I think this is also a huge one right here. Investment. Instead of you juggling chainsaws, making her invest and do things for her to look forward to are more so to please you than herself. They want to do the shit. Now let's look at this from a more practical standpoint. Like, let's say the bedroom. You want to keep things exciting in the bedroom, your sexual relationship. So a lot of times, what I notice is growing up, like if you watch a TV show, you might watch a talk show where the sex expert comes out and basically the couple who's having trouble, maybe things are boring or whatever the case is, she comes out and gives them advice. And you know what it is, whether it be a book, whether it be that person on a TV show, what I notice is that consistently time after time after time, it's the same goddamn fucking thing, which is basically, oh, mix it up. You want to mix it up. Maybe you get some toys. Maybe you kind of do this differently. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that train of thought. It seems like the obvious thing to say, and that's only the problem. It's the obvious thing to fucking say. Not only that, but think about this for a second. As a man, you were the giver. You were the plus to their positive. I mean, you were the plus to their passive, to their negative. You have to come forward. You have to approach. You have to start the sex. You have to initiate the sex pretty much for the rest of the time till forever. So if you think about it, you're constantly giving. So if you're also in the mindset of constantly thinking of how to improve shit or how to make this shit more exciting, or how am I gonna, next week I'm gonna have the bitch juggle chainsaws, and then the week after that she's gonna be on a unicycle. It's like every week you're trying to think of new shit. But here's the thing, what you can instead do is make her invest into you and create her big, let me put it like this, I would tell girls in the bedroom, like, you're gonna be my partner, your biggest pleasure derives from my biggest pleasure, and then that feeds into itself. That's like a symbiotic relationship in itself that permanently feeds into itself, just like this fucking planet Earth. For example, if you're a sexual attractive guy and she gets off to the image of you being aroused, that means whatever you are currently aroused about that day, it's going to arouse her because she sees that you're aroused about it. So if you wake up one day and you're into big booty black chicks, and then the next day you're into like MILFs or some shit, and then the next day you're into threesomes or whatever the case is, by having her pleasure derived from your pleasure as the leader, not only do you set it up for you, one, you're gonna stay enthusiastic because it's always like all roads lead to the leader. And two, as the natural submissive passive nature creature that they are, they like to fucking, they like to give in. They like to fucking follow and take lead. When you are constantly there, like, okay, I'm gonna eat her pussy this way, I'm gonna massage her feet, I'm gonna fucking do you like that, baby? Do you like that, baby? It's like she wants to look at you and be like, does he like that? Does he like that? When you're constantly switching the role and you put her in that queen position, that in itself is gonna get old after a while. If she's constantly there, like, I wanna please him, I wanna make sure he's getting off, I want, like, what is he into today? Or like, she's constantly looking towards you for that leadership. That is the big difference right there. That is a huge difference right there, as opposed to constantly looking towards her, you know, to just give you that fucking lead, man, to save your fucking ass, to give you a hint of where to go with it. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if she derives her greatest pleasure from you, that is a system that will inherently keep feeding into yourself. And I'm not just saying this shit. There's women in my life that I've known for years, and it doesn't necessarily feel like, oh my god, it's years in and things are getting old and stale, because it's always like, anytime I'm horny, I think of whatever story and I tell the story. Like at this point in the bedroom, I tell stories, because that is a universe in itself. When you can use your words to create an entire universe in her head, that's just some next level shit, man. Which brings me to number 5. The surprising thing that attracts women, and probably one of the most underrated, is being descriptive. Most people are basic as fuck, but when you say something extra descriptive and with more emphasis, there's more nuance to what you're saying. Something that's way outside the normal conversation-wise and language-wise, it shows a large amount of social value, big time. If shorty thinks you're intelligent because of your ability to express yourself in a way with words/language. You can add an extra oomph to even the most normal shit by the words you use to describe a situation. This is something that this is one of the most biggest things, man. Because let's take a look at human language for a second. When you look at Shakespeare, or you look at how people like spoke back in the day, it was way more descriptive than today. Let's look at Novels. Let's look at erotic novels. What do women love to read? Erotic fucking novels. What are novels? Extremely descriptive. Like, I've had women literally talk about their favorite author and how they love how they set up the scenes, how they describe everything from like the fucking clouds. They just put them in this entire universe. And women are passive, so they're like, they love someone that can create an entire world that they can give themselves into. And by being able to be descriptive, you do that shit. Just the other day, I literally said some simple shit, but it probably was something that a chick wasn't used to. I just said, it was just something about the weather, and I was like, yeah, the weather yesterday was amazing. And I said it, and I could just kind of tell by how she reacted. It was like a little bit of a lighted upness in her face, where she was just kind of like, yeah, it was amazing. It was like, just by me saying amazing, it kind of added an emotion to it, rather than just being like, oh yeah, it was really nice. It's like, I noticed a lot of dudes, they want to play it cool, they want to play it in the middle, they don't want to do too much. But instead of just going up to some chick and going, oh hey, I thought you looked cute, and I just wanted to say hi, that's cool, that's casual, it shows you're not too invested, I get the mindset. But why don't you just take a second to actually have some fucking balls and do something a little bit more extra? Try something a little bit more descriptive. Try something like, excuse me, I know this is incredibly random, but I actually thought you looked, I just thought your energy was incredibly captivating. I kind of had to say hi, otherwise I'd be kicking myself for the rest of the day. When the fuck does anyone ever hear something like your aura or your energy was incredibly captivating? Most people, they're not even gonna know how to react. They're just gonna be like, oh, whoa, thank you. Like, what made him feel like my energy was captivating? Those are words that evoke powerful emotions. When you start to mix it up more and stop trying to be so fucking basic Betty because you think, oh, let me just play cool casual guy so I can be number 890 something casual cool guy that you fuck. Like, why don't you separate yourself? When you're in the bedroom and you say something like, yeah, your body, I don't know, it was just scintillating. Every time I touched it, it felt like there was chills sent down my spine. And I kind of just thought to myself, man, I don't really know what I'm even doing in this situation. But yet there was part of me that was just pulled into it. I just made all that bullshit up. All of it. But you could tell that I've just done this shit so much that it like becomes natural to me. I'm practically like freestyling sexual bars. Feel me? Bars. That just is something that you can get used to. Start using more descriptive language. Start using more descriptive adjectives. Not only that, but it gives you a huge, like, what do you mean? Something that's mentioned a lot when we comes to what attracts women. Something that isn't mentioned enough is just intelligence. Because intelligence is like, okay, nerds and whatever the fucking case is, but intelligence is more than just book smart. When you show social intelligence, when you say descriptive words, descriptive language, it's like an immediate, huge social intelligence that you display that she's not used to. Most guys they're so busy trying not to fucking choke on their words, let alone say a multi-syllable descriptive word that describes her energy or her aura, something outside of her looks. That pointing that shit out, when you could do that shit in the bedroom, when you could do that shit in regular conversations, and when you can do that shit discussing your hobbies, your passions, your childhood, your family, your tragedies, your introspective, your fucking future sexuality adventures, your future dreams, all the deepest things that make us up, the deepest things that make her create that powerful connection and ultimately fall in love with you, that shit right there, it all starts from when you open your fucking mouth. So when you have that moment to show that I'm not this regular dude, you can separate yourself with your words and just your adjectives itself. Start trying to use more adjectives that pull towards feelings, things that is like more passionate, like that was an incredible experience. Say that shit. Don't feel like, oh, that's kind of cringe, I don't know. Like, you're fucking cringe by not saying the shit. Every other girl, oh yeah, that was kind of cool. That's not cringe. Sounding like yeah, that was pretty awesome. Like, that's all right, cool. Why don't you say to a chick, yeah, that was an incredible experience. I'm kind of want to experience that shit again, but I'm not sure. I think I might like it too much again. Talking with just more description, talking with language that's more passionate, that shit will separate you so fucking fast. Especially when you first speak to a girl and you first open. You could be a guy who looks average, but the moment you say something that's like, whoa, this guy's different. He has confidence in himself, because who the fuck would say a word like illustrious or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Say something that invokes emotions and you can hold on to it with that poker face and you don't get shook up in that moment. So with that being said, yo, I took a lot of fucking time in this video. My mouth is dry as hell. I got nothing to drink next to me. There's some I just made some lemonade, but it's bitter as hell. I don't know why. Like, why did I fuck my lemonade up, man? How do you make lemonade? Cause I had some lemonade the other day. It was really good and it tasted like they put some of the fucking zest. So it was like zesty, it was soup, it was like the best lemonade ever. I just try to make it and it's awful. It's like the worst shit ever. If you could drink it through the can, I wouldn't even let you, man. It's so fucking bad. So with that being said, see you on the next episode, bro. Thanks for watching. Unleash Gang. Subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know any of your thoughts. And with that being said, I'll see you on the other side, pimp.